Film School's coverage is brought to you by Blackmagic Design.
I'm Oakley Anderson-Moore from No Film School. I'm sitting here with a panel of really talented animators who have films at the Sundance Film Festival. Drew Christie, Mickey Duget, and Rose Stark. Thank you guys so much for being here.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, it's not like storytellers and documentary filmmakers haven't had animation. Animation's been around, but it seems like people are only just barely starting to really employ it a lot more.
Yeah.
Do you guys have an opinion on why that is, and possibly technological advancements that have been making animation easier, or what do you guys think?
Well, that's a really good question. I mean, yeah, I think it might be the fact that it's now cheaper to do. You don't have to have all the production of cells and people painting cells and all that other sort of stuff. You don't have to have like a huge Oxbury animation stand anymore, that sort of thing. But
it's great because also people can work so independently on stuff. Like I produced 10 minutes of animation for Nuts by myself in my apartment in Queens, and you just couldn't do that before, So.
Yeah, totally. I mean, just knowing that you can export stuff from Photoshop, and if you want to do it on the smallest budget, just import that into iMovie, and you can make something pretty good. Like, I don't know if that would be the same thing 10 years ago, for sure.
Yeah, so what changes in the process, creatively, when you're doing something hand-drawn versus when you're going to try to do it eventually in After Effects? What's the creative differences? How is that affecting the actual artistic process?
Man, I feel like it changes everything. So when you're doing it in After Effects, you draw something once, and you scan it in, and you basically break it up in Photoshop, and then you're puppeting different parts of the character. So all you're really doing when you're animating it is sticking in keyframes to move something from point A to point B. When you're drawing it, you're drawing everything. You're drawing the character and the parts over and over again, frame by frame. Yeah, I don't know. You're controlling how everything is moving by drawing it, as opposed to seeing it on a screen. And I don't know if that's a good way of explaining it, but
no, totally.
Our film was a little bit half and half, actually, because I did do the final animation in After Effects, but I would do the drawings in a really chunky style. For all the horses running, I had 4 poses that I just cycled, and those were 4 drawings that I did, and we just ran them at, I don't know, 0.2 seconds each, something like that. But then in After Effects, my animator, she would finesse some other kind of motion. She would finesse a side pan or a zoom, or some other element that would be smoother and less chunky. So in a way, those things working in harmony together kind of hid how crappy the animation actually was, or how chunky and basic it kind of was.
That's really what animation is, though. It's I feel like I'm always just hiding the illusion. I'm hiding my own laziness at all times.
Yeah, a little bit. For sure when you're working for clients.
Yeah.
Yeah. I use that technique a lot. I like to do stuff by hand, but then it's just so labor intensive to do everything by hand. So I'll always stick something into After Effects, and After Effects really has kind of taken the place of the camera for animators. So you can do all kinds of camera moves and things like that now. So I think a lot of people use that, working that way.
Describe your animation setup, what tools you are using right at this very moment.
I draw on paper and scan it in, ink it in Photoshop, do a very basic motion sketch in Photoshop as an animated GIF, and then have that in the animatic, and then eventually have my After Effects person finesse the motion. Not really high tech. My studio desk is this wide, not a lot of not a hugely expensive or ambitious setup, but I like it. Small, good.
Cool.
Yeah.
I don't really have a setup right now. I'm in the middle of moving, so it's all packed away. But I use normally I've got a little Cintiq that I draw into, and then my computer for this cutout film, I finally bought my own camera stand, which I'm really excited about. So, you know, I'll have a camera stand with my camera and some lights, and I don't know, I'll just move things around and see what happens. So that'll be fun.
Yeah, I have different setups. I have like my travel setup, which is like my laptop, and this old Wacom tablet that's like my old steady companion, and then I have like a huge Cintiq I have a light table that's like, it's this really cool like folding light table that I got from this old Disney animator named Hal Sutherland, who died a couple years ago. He also did like He-Man and a bunch of 80s stuff.
Cool.
But anyway, yeah, so I have that, and that thing's really cool. And then, yeah, a bunch of paper and pens around, and that's about it. And then computers around, and